In the silent cargo bay of the UN solstice, a newborn dragon lay dying. Its scales shimmered faintly, like starlight fading at dawn, and every medic aboard had failed to make it eat. Until a single human, a quiet engineer with grease-stained hands, did something no one expected. She started to sing, not just any tune, but a melody no human should have known, the lost song of dragons. And as the notes echoed through the steel walls, the hatchling raised its head, something ancient, remembered. If that opening gave you chills, you're going to love where this story goes. The universe of humans are weird, never stops surprising us. So before we dive into this legend of sound, stars, and survival, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and tap that bell icon so you don't miss our next deep dive into humanity as strangest, most powerful moments in the galaxy. All right? Ready to see what happened next? The air inside the med bay was cold and quiet. Too quiet for a birth. The dragonling lay curled inside a nest of warm plasma blankets, its scales barely flickering with light. Every rise of its chest was a battle. Around it stood half a dozen alien healers and 2 human medics, their voices hushed, their faces drawn. The creature had been rescued from the ruins of Drathion IV, a world swallowed by volcanic storms. Its egg had been the only thing recovered from the rubble, pulsing faintly like a dying ember. When it hatched 3 days ago, everyone on board had cheered. A dragon, a real one, born in the modern age. But the joy faded fast. The hatchling wouldn't eat, wouldn't move, wouldn't even look at the food placed before it. Captain Sarai clicked her mandibles in grief. "It will not last another cycle," she murmured. From the corner, a human engineer, grease-smeared overalls, tired eyes, watched in silence. Mara didn't speak, but something in her expression wasn't despair. It was recognition. The dragon-ass faint pulse matched a rhythm she felt in her chest, one she couldn't explain, a melody she hadn't thought of in years. The medbay lights dimmed to soft amber as the crew prepared for the inevitable. But Mara stayed. She didn't look like a medic or a xenobiologist, just a human with oil under her nails and sorrow in her eyes. The others whispered about her stubbornness, but she didn't hear them. Her gaze stayed fixed on the tiny dragon's chest, rising and falling too slow, too weak. "You've tried feeding tubes, light therapy, oxygen baths," she murmured. "Maybe it's not sick. Maybe it's just alone." The alien healer beside her, a tall, silver-scaled Varani, blinked. "Alone? It has us." Mara shook her head. "No, it doesn't know you. It doesn't feel you. Dragons, if they're anything like humans, need warmth, voice, connection." Her words hung in the air like static. The Varani gave a soft hiss. "You think talking will save it?" "Not talking," Mara said softly, almost embarrassed. "Singing." The crew stared. Someone even laughed. But Mara didn't back down. "Just let me try." "1 minute." Captain Sarai hesitated, mandibles twitching. The hatchling's faint glow was already fading. There was nothing left to lose. The captain nodded once. "1 minute, human." And Mara took a slow breath, preparing to do something no one expected. Mara sat down beside the nest, her voice trembling before it even began. The others watched in uneasy silence as she reached out, her hand hovering over the hatchling's dull, cracked scales. Then, softly, she started to sing. It wasn't a song of words, not really, just a sound her grandmother used to hum while fixing old starship engines back on Luna Station, a tune of warmth and home, the kind that made even metal seem to breathe. The melody filled the medbay, rising and falling like gentle waves. And then, the impossible happened. The dragonling's breathing quickened. A faint shimmer raced along its spine, scales igniting like tiny suns waking from sleep. The crew froze. The creature lifted its head, weak, trembling, and let out a tiny whine, the sound blending perfectly with Mara's song. She didn't stop. Her eyes were wet now, her voice steadier. The dragon's light grew stronger, pulsing with every note. "By the stars," whispered Captain Sarai. "It's responding." But Mara didn't hear her. The melody wasn't coming from her memory anymore. It was coming through her. Somewhere deep in the ship's database, sensors picked up strange resonance patterns, ancient frequencies not recorded for over 12,000 years. The medbay lights flickered as the song's frequency rippled through the ship. Monitors blinked erratically, warning systems chiming with symbols no one recognized. On the data screens, lines of code began to appear, words written in a forgotten draconic script. The hatchling's eyes opened fully for the first time, pupils glowing like molten gold. It stared at Mara, unblinking, and a pulse of warmth spread through the room. "Captain," whispered the Varani healer, This pattern matches the Lumerian archives." Sarai leaned closer to the screen. Her voice shook. "That's impossible. Those were myths, the songs of the first flame." As Mara continued humming, the ship's database decrypted the incoming data. Images appeared, humans and dragons standing together under red skies, singing in harmony. A time before the Great Silence, before the species drifted apart. Mara's voice quivered. "I know this song, but I don't know how." The hatchling gave a small, echoing chirp, a note that matched hers perfectly. The resonance grew until even the ship's hull seemed to vibrate with it. And in that shimmering moment, everyone on board understood. This wasn't a coincidence. It was memory. Fire reborn in human voice. The song reached its final note, a trembling hum that felt alive, like it carried breath and heartbeat. The hatchling raised its head, meeting Mara's eyes with a slow blink. Then it opened its mouth and sang back, not in a cry or roar, but in harmony. The sound filled the medbay, vibrating through the ship's walls, through their bones. The melody was ancient, wordless, and yet every creature on board understood it. Gratitude, recognition, love. The lights steadied. The dragon's scales burst into full brilliance, reflecting galaxies in every shimmer. Its chest rose strong, heartbeat syncing with Mara's. The Varani healer whispered, "It remembers her. No, it remembers us." Mara smiled through tears. Maybe dragons never forgot humans. Maybe we forgot them. As the melody faded, the hatchling curled around her hand and finally, began to eat. Later, across the ship's networks, the event became known as the resonation of solstice. But for Mara, it was simpler. She hadn't saved a dragon. She'd reminded the stars that humanity could still sing, and that was the hatchling who wouldn't eat until the humans sang the lost song of dragons. A story that proves sometimes the oldest power in the galaxy isn't technology, it's empathy. If this tale moved you even a little, leave a like, share it with your fellow spacefarers, and subscribe for more human legends across the stars. Because somewhere out there, another story is waiting to be remembered.